When the Wuthering Waves collab dropped, every single player rushed to the banner files looking for one name, David Martinez. But Kuro Games didn't make him playable.
What?
Because they weren't trying to sell you a cheap gacha skin. They were building absolute cinema. David isn't a character here. He's a ghost. Kuro Games used their own dreamscape allure, the Somnoir, to build an absolute psychological prison. This entire map, it's just the physical weight of Lucy's unhealed mind. You aren't playing a fun crossover. You are stepping directly into her survivor's guilt. And then, the melancholy dies, because standing in the center of her mind is the corporate monster that took everything from her. Atom Smasher. He isn't real. He's the undying phantom of her deepest fear. A boss fight that you physically cannot win with normal weapons. But this time, the anime rules don't apply. In the show, we were completely helpless. We watched our favorite legends get torn apart in the dark. But inside the Wuthering Waves engine, you have a rover. This time, we pick up the weapons. We step into the arena, and we rewrite their tragic history in blood. This is why it works. Most developers treat crossovers like lazy, immersion-breaking billboards just to drain your wallet.
Hello, I like money.
But Kuro built a permanent, isolated episodic sector. By formatting the entire event as a literal digital breakdown of Lucy's memories, the shift from fantasy ruins to a rain-slicked cyberpunk metropolis feels completely organic. And the combat engine proves it. Lucy's kit centers on mid-range control, using her signature mono wires to group scattered enemies into perfect swap-cancel setups. Meanwhile, the free 5-star Rebecca is pure, unhinged chaos. Kuro Games didn't just copy and paste character models. They preserved their literal souls.
Nice.
But the combat engine is just the surface level.
But wait, there's more.
If you actually slow down and explore the dark alleys of this map, Kuro Games hid an insane amount of cyberpunk Easter eggs that most gacha players completely sprinted past.
I can't stop.
And honestly, I don't blame you. We are so traumatized by other gachas giving us absolute scraps where the quote-unquote new collab area is just the exact same reused assets. But Kuro didn't just rip Night City assets and call it a day. They integrated the actual lore. If you look at the new tacit discords wandering this sector, their glitching, erratic attack patterns are a direct visual translation of cyberpsychosis. Kuro essentially merged the Wuthering Waves frequency lore with the chrome-induced madness of Edgerunners. It proves that the developers actually watched and respected the source material instead of just reading a Wikipedia summary an hour before the deadline. But deep lore and schizophrenia don't pay the rent. You know what does? The fact that Kuro Games looked at the current gacha market, laughed, and handed everyone a free, fully functioning 5-star Rebecca just for logging in. They didn't lock her behind a paywall. They didn't strip her of her signature weapons. And most importantly, unlike a certain billion-dollar indie company, they didn't just dump a copy-pasted, constellation-less alloy into our inboxes with 3 pieces of raw foul and call it an event. Kuro gave us an actual, meta-defining unit. Because in Wuthering Waves, crossovers aren't just an ad campaign. They are a declaration of war. But what actually makes this the greatest crossover in gacha history isn't just the free units. It's the fact that Kuro let the Edgerunners IP completely hijack their game engine. They overhauled the entire user experience. From the terminal hacking mini-games, to the sleek holographic event menus, to the custom sound design on every single button press. Kuro built a fully functional operating system for this event. But all of this high-budget aesthetic was just a vessel for the real payload. Because as you dig deeper into the system, you realize they weren't just making a crossover patch. They were giving us episode 11 of the anime. This is exactly why the title of version 3.4 is such an absolute masterpiece. It wasn't just marketing. The title perfectly mirrored the tragedy of the story, capturing that bittersweet feeling of a dream you can't wake up from. For years, all we could do was sit back and watch Lucy stare at the moon in silence. We had to live with that ending. But this patch gave us the closure we were robbed of. We finally got to step into her dream, stand by her side, and tear the nightmare apart piece by piece. Because in Wuthering Waves, we don't do therapy, we do DPS.